There exists a type of mind that commands attention without raising its voice. It doesn't argue, doesn't chase, and doesn't demand acknowledgement. Instead, it quietly enters a room, and suddenly, everything, ambitions, deceit, flattery, rebellion, comes to a standstill. Why? Because deep down, everyone recognizes that such a mind is untouchable. It cannot be swayed, cannot be manipulated. It is rational, unclouded, piercing through all facades. And most unsettling of all, it does not forgive. This is the kind of mind Machiavelli nurtured in secrecy, not for show, not for intimidation, but for control. He referred to it as the ruthless mind, not ruthless in cruelty, but in its resilience, immune to weakness, free from guilt, untangled by noise. Once this mind is cultivated, there's no need to demand obedience. Others will offer it willingly. Building such a mind rests on one critical foundation: unwavering clarity of purpose. The truth is, most people are lost. They waver, unsure what they want or whom they serve. They swing wildly between pleasure and guilt, ambition and fear, loyalty and resentment. And because their goals shift along with their emotions, their thoughts are easily manipulated by a compliment, a threat, even a distraction. But a ruthless mind allows no such chaos. It is driven by a singular purpose to which all else must yield. Clarity of this magnitude isn't born from superficial methods like vision boards. It emerges from ruthless self-interrogation. What do I deeply desire beyond mere comfort? Who must I become to achieve it? What am I willing to sacrifice along the way? Once answered, the fog clears. Doubts fade. The noise stops. You cease explaining yourself. Hesitation vanishes. The opinions of others no longer hold sway. Purpose becomes your shield, distractions your adversary, and emotion your controlled instrument. Where most people drift aimlessly, you steer with precision, and that difference unsettles them. Mastery over emotions is key. People don't fear what you feel. They fear what they cannot decipher. If you flinch at insults, beam with pride at praise, or crumble under pressure, you hand others the tools to influence you. But the ruthless mind remains stoic. An unreadable calm persists where others might crack. Machiavelli likened his mind to a mirror. When provoked, it reflected serenity. When flattered, it gave silence. When attacked, it reflected nothing at all. Emotional response was currency, and he never spent it carelessly. This discipline isn't about being numb. It's about reigning over one's feelings like a disciplined army, not letting them run wild like marauding invaders. You can feel rage, joy, sorrow, but only behind closed doors and never at someone else's command. This level of detachment unnerves others because it exposes their lack of control. When their attempts at manipulation fail, they falter and retreat. Machiavelli's sharpest weapon wasn't violence, it was observation. He needed only a fleeting conversation to uncover someone's vulnerabilities. He didn't listen to hear answers. He listened for subtle signs. The words spoken too frequently, the silences avoided, the overzealous defenses of a certain topic, the moments they sought approval. To most, these might seem trivial. To the ruthless mind, they're cracks, hidden weaknesses where power leaks out. A mind attuned to such details doesn't just observe, it processes relentlessly. What drives this person? What do they fear? Who are they trying to impress? What pushes them into irrationality? Armed with this information, the ruthless mind speaks sparingly yet precisely, hitting insecurities without prior disclosure. It doesn't need brute force. With such precision, people surrender from within. Guilt is another shackle thrown off by the ruthless mind, an emotion society conditions you to obey blindly. However, mastery over guilt means every decision stems from thoughtfulness and purpose rather than reactive compliance. Only by embracing such clarity and discipline can one navigate the chaotic human landscape with control and authority instead of being led astray like the rest. Consider how others may feel. Strive to be kind. Avoid causing harm. However, this approach can become a cunning strategy for maintaining weakness if driven solely by guilt masquerading as morality. Guilt, in many cases, is nothing more than emotional conditioning imposed by others to secure their comfort at your expense. A sharp, ruthless mind questions every pang of guilt by asking, is this feeling valid, or is it simply a leash meant to restrain me? Genuine strength cannot flourish under the perpetual weight of self-apology or fear of wanting more. At times, you need to let people down, those who drain your energy and demand endless chances. You must learn to say no without explanation, to walk away from emotional manipulation by those who feed on your attention. When guilt inevitably surfaces, don't resist it. Don't follow it blindly. Observe it. Analyze it. Then act intentionally, guided by strategy rather than emotion. Once people realize guilt no longer binds you, their influence dissipates. This detachment symbolizes the final foundation of a powerful mind, the trait most feared by others, self-containment. Many walk through life silently pleading for validation. Prove I matter, don't leave me, recognize my worth. In pursuit of connection, they sacrifice pride, tolerate disrespect, delay their aspirations, and diminish themselves to gain approval from those who wouldn't genuinely support them. In contrast, a ruthless mind starts from the premise, I am already alone. I owe nothing to anyone. Those who enter my world must bring strength, not burden. This doesn't necessitate isolation, but requires independence preceding all engagement. You don't need others, you choose them. And should they prove disloyal, harmful, or toxic, you step away without argument or regret. Mastering emotional self-sufficiency unnerves others because they can no longer exploit your fear of solitude. With this foundation in place, your focus shifts toward applying these principles strategically in social dynamics, how to navigate conflict without engaging in direct confrontation, and how to unsettle others without moving a muscle. The hallmark of the ruthless mind is not chaos or cruelty. It's clarity so sharp that it slices through false facades. Your demeanor alone can make others question themselves. This isn't sorcery, it's calculated design. To fortify your presence, develop an eye for unseen truths while allowing others to reveal themselves. Enter a room with quiet purpose, not speaking to be heard, but observing to uncover hidden motives. Pay attention. Who's projecting? Who's seeking approval? Who's overly aware of you? Speak minimally, for silence compels others to speak more, inadvertently exposing their vulnerabilities. Silence, after all, is not mere absence, it's extraction. The ruthless mind scrutinizes like a surgeon searching for cracks beneath the surface. A calm, emotionless appraisal unsettles people, leaving them exposed and unsure of themselves. They stumble over their words, try too hard to over-explain, or desperately seek validation you never offer. This is when the power quietly shifts in your favor. When you speak, let it be deliberate. Your words should clarify, correct, or command. Avoid gossip, trivial anecdotes, or moralistic lectures. Every sentence should disrupt the dynamics of the room effectively. For instance, when others inflate their stories, understate yours. When they ramble, inject concise, impactful truths. When they joke to deflect tension, maintain measured composure. This stark contrast unsettles people. They wonder why you're not responding as they expect and question what insights you might possess. Your detached confidence creates an air of mystery that paralyzes others in social interactions because uncertainty breeds caution. Without knowing how to gauge you, they avoid missteps out of fear and respect. This is influence without overt control. In such instances, allow people to unravel themselves with their own words while you remain centered. Machiavelli would remind you, unused power is power wasted. A ruthless mind isn't formed simply to defend. It exists to reshape reality itself. It's about creating influence without brute force, disarming the sharpest minds without uttering a word, and destabilizing even the most confident individuals with your presence alone. To master this, you must learn the art of invisible control. Silence becomes your weapon. Weak silence feels awkward. Deliberate silence, however, exerts immense psychological pressure. Here's how it works. Faced with a personal question, you maintain eye contact, yet remain silent. If accused, your response is neither anger nor sadness, only stillness. When someone crosses boundaries with an inappropriate comment, don't laugh or acknowledge it, but look on as if it never landed. What happens next? They unravel under their own weight. They fill the silence with explanations, retract their statements, stumble over words. Without saying anything, you've exposed their insecurities. Machiavelli's principle is simple. Whoever speaks first loses. Each second you prolong silence shifts the tension onto them, and most people can't bear it. A ruthless mind doesn't need chaos to dominate. Simply adding uncertainty into interactions disrupts comfort. Predictability puts people at ease, while uncertainty provokes caution, and caution hands you control. So you stay unpredictable in controlled ways. If you always respond promptly, slow down your replies. If you're known for warmth, turn cold temporarily. Where praise is anticipated, offer critique instead. If someone tests your patience repeatedly, vanish without explanation. These are not emotional outbursts, but calculated disruptions of their expectations. The moment you trigger doubt in others, did I upset them? Are they angry? What's changed? You've claimed the upper hand. Emotional accessibility becomes a privilege that people then compete to regain. This extends to planting subtle traps, Machiavelli's tool for exposing hidden truths. Favor delayed? Gauge their patience. Invent a harmless rumor and see who spreads it. Share something confidential with one individual and track its journey. Ignore the manipulator and note how they react. These strategies aren't acts of cruelty. They're designed to reveal loyalty, discipline, resilience, or the lack thereof. A ruthless mind doesn't wait for betrayal. It unmasks it preemptively and acts with quiet resolve to eliminate risks. One final rule. When someone steps out of line, Don't retaliate openly or make declarations. Simply pull back, gradually and subtly. Stop sharing details, leave them off invitations, shift your tone to neutrality. They'll sense the change, but never hear it confirmed. Panic sets in as they whisper among mutual acquaintances. Did I upset them? Are they upset with me? But they'll find no answers because you made no public display. Control moves in silence, and power thrives in restraint. Emotion does not override strategy, but the way you enforce them remains unclear to others. At times you vanish without a word. Sometimes a single stare is all it takes to correct. Other times you simply smile and remain silent. This psychological haze compels people to tread cautiously around you. A ruthless mind, much like a serene forest, appears beautiful and still, teeming with life. Yet everyone knows that one wrong step awakens something dangerous. Power comes with patience. A ruthless mind never rushes. It comprehends a fundamental truth. Moving slower grants greater control. When confronted by offense, you wait. When faced with deceit, immediate confrontation is unnecessary. When critical decisions appear, you say, "Let me think." Why? Because the world expects haste, rooted in emotional impulses. People are conditioned to react instantly. But by delaying response, you build pressure, sow uncertainty, and assert ownership of your time. You think before speaking, observe before acting, and pause before deciding. Clear indicators of emotional detachment. In a world ruled by impulsive minds, this calculated restraint is a daunting form of intelligence. Let others unravel themselves in their attempts to understand you. When your thoughts remain unreadable, something extraordinary unfolds. People project their assumptions onto your silence. They presume anger where there is focus, arrogance where there is detachment, and mystery where there is strategy. In striving to interpret your demeanor, they inadvertently expose their insecurities, their longing for approval, their hidden vulnerabilities. Speak sparingly, respond even less. Correct no one. The less they understand about you, the more their own composure falters in your presence, a cornerstone of psychological leverage. Set boundaries with surgical precision. This isn't coldness born of apathy. It's discipline forged in enforcing your standards with unyielding conviction. When someone oversteps, negotiation is unnecessary. You withdraw immediately, severing access without explanation or closure. Should they ask why, the answer is clear. They already know. Or better still, let there be no response at all. Avoid over-explaining, making peace for its own sake, or reopening doors for repeated betrayal. Machiavelli taught that tolerating minor disobedience invites rebellion. You are the sovereign of your own world. The moment your standards are breached, you educate through action, not conversation. Operate on dual levels, persona and intellect. A ruthless mind reveals itself in layers. The external persona, composed, courteous, slightly warm, serves as armor that lulls others into disarming themselves. Beneath it lies intellect, keenly observant, analytical, calculating every risk and opportunity with icy precision. This is your weapon. It works silently while you smile and nod as though distracted. No one expects the fire smoldering beneath until it consumes them without warning. Use your memory as a tool of strategy rather than a source of pain. Where average minds forgive too quickly or cling to hurt for too long, the ruthless mind records events impartially, as ledger entries rather than scars. Betrayals are tallied without the haze of emotion, false praise noted, suspicious silences archived, selective kindnesses remembered. It identifies who adds value versus who drains it, and when the time comes to choose allies or cut ties, memory guides the way. Revenge is unnecessary. The quiet reallocation of access speaks volumes on its own. People come to regret losing proximity, not out of love or care, but because they find you irreplaceable. They realize too late that access to you was a privilege withdrawn without warning. As they gossip and wonder about your absence, you remain focused on building yourself up further. Their words amount to nothing as you ascend to a position strength cannot touch. You do not beg for understanding or validation, nor do you seek applause from those incapable of grasping your vision. Like a lion silent in its confidence, you embrace being misunderstood. It no longer matters. Instead of living for outward approval, you exist to instill silence in others through your presence alone. A mind unyielding in clarity and purpose does not chase recognition. It bends the world to its will by moving only when necessary. That isn't mere power. It's strategy refined into something paralyzing in its calculated brilliance.